Now at 10.
All of a sudden, I just heard gunshots.
Rapid and relentless.
I heard, like, the plastic and the wood popping.
Bullets swirling. Her family threatened. A mother reaches her breaking point.
St. Louis is not safe.
I think the company needs to apologize to George.
Only on 4, the face of Papa John's flying to St. Louis, trying to make peace after a local manager's racist rant goes public.
You not only our daughters, you're beating their ass.
I feel like action will be taken.
From gunfire.
I saw several of the guests with large weapons.
To the garbage.
It's been trashed.
A weekend rental gone really wrong.
I don't even know how to put it into words, honestly.
Making the impossible happen in a pandemic.
You can see there's no way you could do social distancing down here.
St. Louis struggles. How do we keep tradition in times like these?
Lent wouldn't be the same without fish fries.
Live from the Kmov Broadcast Center in downtown St. Louis, this is News 4 at 10, watching out for you.
There was 12 shots. My first instinct was to, duck and to cover her. If that bullet would have made it through there, my baby boy, my 4-month-old son, would be gone.
Rapid gunfire filled with fear. Now she's fed up. Someone so bold opening fire into her home.
Not in the front, but the backyard. She says one bullet came so close it grazed her back. Only News 4's Kim St. is speaking to the mother and looking into the violence police are trying to combat where she lives. Kim?
Well, right now, police here at headquarters in downtown are still trying to figure out who pulled the trigger and why. Tonight, this mother is telling me she doesn't want her kids staying at the home anymore, feeling like her area of South City is not safe.
There was about 3 that came through here, and this is where I was sitting.
Bullets came just inches from hitting Kendra Booth while she was sitting on her bed braiding her 5-year-old niece's hair early Saturday morning.
All I heard was gunshots, and I heard, like, the plastic and the wood popping and flying.
She counted 12 shots.
And I grabbed her in the pillow, and then that's when I ran, over here up to the floor, and, I just took down.
One of those bullets went through her bedroom, into the kitchen, through her kids' room, and into the living room.
This is where my son would have been sleeping, and that's where the bullet came through.
Booth says she wonders if the gunman may have been watching her right before they pulled the trigger.
They knew where I was in my house. They knew where I was positioned.
She's not sure why she would have been targeted, but sadly, gunshots are something she's used to hearing almost every night, just never coming this close.
I'm always looking at my windows. I'm always, opening the door, checking outside. It's very scary.
Her home near Compton and Winnebago in the Gravois Park neighborhood falls in what police call the South Zone Rectangle, an area with a lot of violent crimes. Blocks from Booth's home, 2 weeks ago, Kenesha Hemphill and her 2 little girls were murdered at their home. Police have been designating more resources here, hoping crime will drop. But the city also has a problem with children being caught up in crimes. Booth's incident and the Hemphill murders come less than a month after a 7-year-old girl and her dad were murdered in the Central West End.
You're not safe anywhere anymore.
So police have also designated this area in North St. Louis, that is from Goodfellow to Vandeventer, is this center for violent crime. So you have the area in South City and then the area in North City. And police are really hoping if they continue focusing their efforts, pouring these resources into those 2 specific areas where violent crime especially is high, they're really hoping that that will make a noticeable difference overall in this crime that we are seeing here in St. Louis City. Corey, Sam.
All right, Kim, live for us downtown tonight. Thank you. Tonight, the forewarned storm team continues tracking some snow. You see from live Sky Tracker Doppler radar, a majority of it is off to our east. But in some areas like Town and Country, flurries are still falling right now.
Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton is tracking when the snow ends and our warm-up begins. Steve.
Well, I still expect flurries the next several hours, but those won't accumulate in St. Louis. But what we say off to the east, most of this is flurries. Maybe there's some minor additional accumulation of a tenth of an inch at most as that kind of moves out of the area. So that's going to move out, but lingers behind some flurries overnight tonight. Down to the south, I want to keep an eye on this. It should just miss our area, but notice how I have it just southeast of Farmington, Sparta, Nashville, Illinois. If it's just a little bit north, maybe towards daybreak you get a couple tenths of an inch. So just a heads up, we'll watch that. That's going to stay to the southeast. We're all dealing with the cold, though, sitting at 19 in St. Louis, Afton at 18 degrees, and on our way down to a temperature around 11. That blue number is the wind chill at 0. Winds won't be too strong, but it does make a difference, even a light wind with these temperatures for tomorrow morning. But I'm focused on when we get above freezing and even have temperatures into the 50s. I'm timing that out for you coming up in just a bit.
Steve, thank you. Only on 4, the founder of Papa John's trying to make peace with a former employee. This following his firing and a report by News 4 featuring racist audio by a St. Anne store manager.
News 4's Ashley Lincoln is here tonight. And Ashley, the founder admits corporate is handling this fallout poorly.
That's right, Samantha. Papa John's founder tells me right now he's committed to seeing his company overhauled, taking steps to change perception and make sure no employee ever goes through what George Mitchell endured.
The tape's dreadful. It's horrific.
Papa John's founder and former CEO John Schnatter says his visit to St. Louis is to right a wrong.
White people created Western civilization.
And the visit comes after only News 4 brought you that audio. It was recorded by fired Papa John's employee George Mitchell. He's suing the company for the racist tirades he says he endured from his manager at this St. Anne Papa John's.
You think it's racist to have white pride, but I'm not supposed to think it's racist for you to have black pride.
After multiple complaints to corporate, Mitchell says he's the one who was fired, not that manager.
I love the job, and I love what I did.
After a story, Mitchell says he emailed Schnatter, who's also gone through racial controversies with the company.
We need to speak with him because he will know what to do.
And I thought, why isn't the company doing anything about this?
Schnatter stepped down as CEO in 2018, accused of using the N-word during a meeting on how the NFL's protest of players kneeling was impacting Papa John's sales.
Did you use the N-word at any point in that audio?
No, I said Colonel Sanders calls black people that. I would never use that word.
This past December, the FBI exonerated Schnatter, saying his comments were not intended as a racial slur towards anyone.
The free report cleared me of any, they have a tape.
Critics might say, hey, this is the publicity stunt to clear your name. What's your response to that?
Plenty of publicity already. And if it helps him get this resolved, we'll get some publicity.
They can say what they want, but truthfully, he was the only one that came when I called.
As founder, Schnatter says he's focused on removing the racist stigma associated with the Papa John's brand.
I think the company needs to apologize to George. I think they need some financial ramification to this to satisfy everything he's had to go through.
From this point on, us sitting down and having this conversation and being able to try to work on hashing this out is going to make a change.
And Schnatter is still partial owner of the company. Now, he tells me he's talking to corporate leaders about Mitchell's case. Now, I wanted to know what's next for Papa John, so I contacted them for a comment. Tonight, they have not responded yet. Corey?
Ashley, we know you'll be following it. Thank you. Weeks ago, it looked like the scene from a movie. More than 100 detainees taking over a floor at the jail in downtown St. Louis. Now city leaders are approving $1.5 million to fix the faulty lock system that allowed the group to escape their cells. A spokesperson for the mayor says the fix will take 10 to 12 weeks. Another $500,000 will be used to hire more private security guards for the jail.
We are tracking the vaccine for you, and tomorrow thousands of you will be notified that you'll be able to receive your first COVID vaccine dose. Shots will be given Saturday at a mass vaccination site on the UMSL campus in North County. The Missouri National Guard and St. Louis County Health Department are partnering in order to make this happen, so people who pre-registered through either are eligible. Governor Mike Parson confirms on Twitter tonight he'll update the vaccination distribution tomorrow. One of the first to comment on the governor's post tonight coming from someone stressing the need to vaccinate teachers. It's a message felt by many Missouri educators.
Teachers and school staff will best serve kids when they are healthy. And as a community, as a St. Louis region, as a state, to come alongside that main goal of serving kids. And that's why we're advocating for teacher vaccination this spring.
The state of Missouri hasn't even reached the tier of vaccine rollout that makes teachers eligible. Right now, more than 95% of the state's public schools are teaching kids in person. It is Ash Wednesday, and fish fries are about to heat up. It is a big deal for Lent, with so many St. Louis area churches and groups depending on those for fundraising.
But Alexis Otis is finding out the pandemic is cooling off the fryers for some and forcing changes for others. Alexis?
Well, that's right. Right now we are amidst the Lenten season, and parishes like St. James the Greater here in Dogtown are just one of the many who are doing a little pivot this year due to the pandemic. They will be doing their fish fry, but it will be curbside only. But we're also hearing from some, as you mentioned, who are saying if they can't do it safely, they're just not going to do it at all.
It's the sound of a fish fry, which for both the Catholic community and beyond is a St. Louis tradition.
Lent wouldn't be the same without fish fries.
But this year, like so much else in our lives, it's going to look a lot different.
We're going to a drive-through only system. Even though St. Charles County has opened up COVID restrictions, we're still trying to protect everybody.
Typically, the Knights of Columbus in Cottleville will serve around 1,200 meals a night during the Lenten season. This year, it's all curbside.
1 cod and 4 shrimp.
But some aren't able to make it work this year.
You can see there's no way you could do social distancing down here.
The American Legion Post 15 in the Hill neighborhood decided to cancel this year. A disappointment for them and for their neighbors.
You know, we get a lot of Hill residents that come here. They're regulars. They come in families and groups. And then, again, for the money raising, we need to raise money to be able to operate here, and so we're giving up that revenue.
Back in Cottleville, they know they won't get as many customers this year, but they're hopeful those that have been coming for decades still make their way to the hall each Friday.
It's a staple in the community.
Thank you. Have a good one. Be safe.
Now, I have reached out to the St. Louis City as well as the St. Louis County Public Health Departments to find out if churches and organizations have to abide by those COVID capacity rules that we've seen set for restaurants. We're still waiting to get a concrete answer on that one. In the meantime, you can head to the Kmov News app. That is where you will find a full list of all of the fish fries in our area. Reporting in Dogtown, Alexis Edos, News 4.
Many remembering the popular but polarizing Rush Limbaugh tonight. The widely listened to radio host died today after a battle with lung cancer. Limbaugh was born and raised in southeast Missouri. During his radio career, his show was a staple on KMOX radio here in St. Louis, but local listeners were just a fraction of the millions of people who tuned in every weekday. His 3-hour show during the week was broadcast to some 600 radio stations. Former Missouri Lieutenant Governor Peter Kinder grew up with Limbaugh.
Well, you put Cape Girardeau on the map in a way that I don't believe any son of Cape Girardeau ever has, and maybe ever will. We don't know that, but he's a national figure, a national historic figure.
Limbaugh's career wasn't without controversy. He was known for making comments perceived as racist and homophobic. Limbaugh mocked actor Michael J. Fox for having Parkinson's disease. In 2012, he referred to a Georgetown law student as a, quote, slut for backing insurance coverage for birth control. He also promoted the false rumor that President Obama was actually born outside of the United States. Spring training starts when pitchers and catchers report. Tonight, the catcher has arrived.
Spring training games start at the end of the month, and the home opener is just a little more than a month away. The cheapest tickets, we did some looking for you right now, $278. And Steve, these images in South Florida, just the warm-up we needed after a wintry week like this.
Unfortunately, the image of Busch Stadium in recent days looks like that. In fact, you compare today's high of 19, and Jupiter today was 84. I don't have a warm-up like that in sight, but I do have a big warm-up for us that you will appreciate. I'll show you in the 7-day forecast coming up.
Then, have you ever had a really bad house guest? Well, I doubt they ever unleashed gunfire from your front porch. The mayhem from Missouri next.
And an idea born during the pandemic could become permanent. The change being weighed for Missouri bars and restaurants next. Be careful who you let into your home. A Kansas City woman knows that now as you watch her tour her ransacked rental property. But it didn't stop at trashing the place. Surveillance video shows a shootout also erupted on the front porch.
The whole place is destroyed. It's been trashed. It's been shot up. It's a disaster.
Adrian Wright leased the home to a group of 5 people through Verbo. That's an app that's similar to Airbnb. Wright says based on the trash left behind, someone had a birthday party that escalated to gunfire.
I saw several of the guests with large weapons coming out of the front of the home, shooting across the street. I don't even know how to put it into words, honestly. It's unbelievable, unimaginable.
Unimaginable is how I would describe it. Police are still investigating what happened, but what's worse, Wright says Verbo told her they likely will not cover the cost of the damage.
Face coverings masquerading as N95 masks are becoming a growing issue. The latest 1 million counterfeit masks seized from a Maryland warehouse. They were headed to the front lines of the battle against COVID. And this isn't the first time. A total of 11 million faulty masks have been uncovered since the pandemic began. Washington State's hospital system spent $8 million on counterfeits. Department of Homeland Security says that fake masks are coming from China.
If you like takeout dinner and drinks, a bill to make to-go cocktails permanent in Missouri is advancing tonight. They've been allowed through the pandemic to help struggling businesses. If passed, restaurants would have to serve the to-go drinks in sealed, tamper-proof containers, and customers would also be required to make a food purchase. The Missouri House has one more vote before the bill is passed on to the Senate.
Well, we can see light at a very cold, dark tunnel right at the end. Very cold, but we know things eventually here, Steve, are going to be warming up.
We're getting closer, guys, to eventually above freezing and eventually highs in the 50s. We'll appreciate that. We got to get rid of the snow first, and there's still flurries out there in St. Louis, but off to the east, there's some spots where instead of just flurries, there might be actually a little bit of light snow in the order of a tenth or a couple tenths of an inch, like that little bright white band you see developing over Highland. That is all going to move east and out overnight, but I still think flurries for several more hours, even in St. Louis. Then I want to watch this. This will miss St. Louis to the south, but see how I have it coming just kind of close to Farmington, Sparta, Nashville? If that scoots a little farther north, that little area of light snow tomorrow morning could put down a couple tenths of an inch or so in that southeastern part of our coverage area. Otherwise, you can still see some of those flurries I was talking about, not adding up on the pavement there, but this is from Barnes Jewish St. Peter's. In St. Peter's right now, 19 degrees. That was our high today, and as long as that temperature does not go up to 20, and I don't expect it to, and that stays our high today, we've done something we haven't done in 85 years. 6 days in a row of 19 degrees or colder. Since 1930, that's only happened one other time, and the last time was 85 years ago, back in 1936. So we know we've had 12 days in a row below freezing, but it's also been well below freezing for a stretch. 6 days in a row at 19 or colder. Eventually we're going to break that, I hope to, tomorrow. 11 is how we'll start. Mostly cloudy. Again, we'll watch for flurries to the southeast. Wind chills around 0. Not that the winds are that strong, but a little breeze makes a difference. By noon, we're getting above 19. We're at 20. Cold and dry, though, for the day. So even though it's warmer, still very cold. Going from mostly cloudy to partly cloudy. 24 in the afternoon for our high. Wind chill at about 13. And the winds do pick up a little bit in the afternoon, about a 10-mile-an-hour breeze. Cold and dry for your evening drive, 6 o'clock. We're at 19. We still have a frigid morning, though, on Friday morning. These are the lows on Friday. 5 in St. Louis, 2 in Sullivan. The record's -3. That's going to stay intact, but it's another single-digit low before we start to warm things up. I wouldn't call Friday warm, but sunshine and 28, that's going in the right direction. Above freezing by Saturday, 36. That'll snap that streak of 14 days in a row of below freezing temperatures. And then we get into Sunday. There is a chance for some rain. It may mix with some wet snowflakes, mainly north of St. Louis. Otherwise, mostly cloudy and wet and 40 degrees. I think normally, maybe 3 weeks ago, I'd say, oh, what a miserable day. 40, cloudy, rainy. I'm so looking forward to 40 degrees. Cloudy and rainy, I'll take it. No snow and not too frigid. But it's still pretty chilly with our 24-degree high tomorrow for the 4-degree guarantee for St. Louis Children's Choirs. Our donation so far at $600. So the trend is warmer, especially after that 5-degree low on Friday morning. That's really when we start to pull out of it. I think you'll notice it over the weekend, and then you'll really notice it next week. Monday, 47. And a couple of days in the 50s for Monday and Tuesday. In fact, our lows are only near freezing for Tuesday and Wednesday.
Well, until that warm-up, you definitely need the heat right now.
Yeah, next before bed, something you got to do to keep toasty.
finished watching News 4 at 10, and before you go to bed tonight, Ameren would really appreciate it if you turned down your thermostat. There's continued concern about too much energy use. Temperatures will remain dangerously cold through Friday. Ameren says you can set your thermostat to 68 degrees or lower during the day and turn it down when you go to bed. And check your outlets. Unplug anything you don't need and turn off non-essential appliances.
Good tips there. Some public funding for the massive youth sports complex in Hazelwood is on hold. St. Louis County Council members delaying a vote that would earmark $6 million in hotel tax revenue for the Powerplex on 370 near 270. The developer-driven project is already delayed by the pandemic and tax debt issues. The plan would overhaul the former St. Louis Outlet Mall in Hazelwood, creating a sports complex capable of hosting large-scale tournaments. We don't need an excuse to show you images of the St. Louis Zoo's rockhopper penguin chick, but we do have one. You can name the zoo's newest member. This is the first rockhopper chick to hatch there in 11 years. Potential names are Pebbles, Opal, Luna, and Lumi. There's a link on the KMOV News app and KMOV.com for you to vote.
The Cardinals pitchers and catchers have reported to Jupiter for a very different-looking spring training site. We'll have that. And Tony La Russa is back in uniform this year. Hear what he has to say to the critics who say he might be too old to still be managing. That's next in sports. Baseball is back. The Cardinal pitchers and catchers reported to Jupiter today for physicals in the morning and a light workout afterwards. The complex looks a lot different this year. A number of tents have been put up just outside the clubhouse. That's where the players will go through their COVID testing on a daily basis and where they'll eat. The training room has been moved outside. They're using only half of the bullpen so they can keep the pitchers and catchers socially distanced. Also, it's going to be a challenge to try to avoid a COVID outbreak.
The anticipation for the start of today is still very real. It's still exciting for everybody that's down here, but I think we all realize it is different. And so from a player standpoint, from a staffing standpoint, from an employee standpoint, we're all having to adapt and make those adjustments as best we can.
Yadier Molina and all of the catchers and pitchers are required to be there now. First official workout is tomorrow. Nolan Arenado is among a handful of position players who were early arrivals at camp and went through a 2-day intake process and has now begun working out with his new team. San Diego Padres want to make sure Fernando Tatis Jr. stays in San Diego for his entire career. They have given Tatis a 14-year, $340 million contract, a little more than $24 million a season. The 14 years is the longest contract in Major League history. 76-year-old Tony La Russa back in uniform today for the first time in a decade. He's the new manager of the Chicago White Sox and says he knows there are a lot of people doubting he can still get the job done.
There's some legitimate questions about, what I have to offer my age and not being current. And I embrace the challenge mostly because I love the job and I'm excited about the potential of this team.
Good luck to the skipper. The Blues are having to deal with injuries to several players. Tyler Bozak still out. Robert Thomas will miss several more weeks. Jaden Schwartz is out. Robert Bortuzzo missed considerable time earlier. Not so easy to win consistently without those key players.
Mature group in there. Veteran group that's been through a lot. Obviously, there's plenty of guys there that have won the Stanley Cup and done what's been needed to get, I guess, to get to that point. So the confidence in that room has never wavered, and it doesn't if guys are in or out of the lineup.
Blues have got San Jose here tomorrow night. As long as it's not Arizona, that's okay.
Yeah, no kidding. It will be nice to have a full, healthy team because we know that the Blues can do. All right, Doug, thank you.
All right, and thank you for joining us tonight on News 4 at 10. News 4 this morning starts tomorrow at 4:30. Have a good night.
Thanks for watching KMOV News 4. Watch us live wherever you are on our mobile, on our streaming news app. And you can also watch us on Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV.